Good afternoon, everyone. I understand that you have heard already from Chairman Schatz. I want to thank all those who have been engaged in pulling together this listening session on public safety in our Native communities. I want to thank all those that are here and those that are going to be providing their comments and testimony to be included as part of the record. I think it's really important as we think about the next steps to support tribal justice and law enforcement that we really take into account many of the obstacles and sometimes the very unique obstacles that face tribes in different regions. I know that many who we're going to be hearing from the Alaska perspective are people that we have worked with over the years. They have been advocates for a long, long time when it comes to safety and justice. But for those that I'm not as familiar with, just thank you. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for what you are contributing to not only the discussion, but then what follows on from that discussion, the policies that we will put in place. We need to have your voice. We need to have oftentimes just vulnerable hearts in order to create the level of engagement that I think moves us forward. I think as I come from a state where we talk about what self-determination looks like, and we think we know, we get it, we understand it in Alaska, but I respect that self-determination means that what works in the lower 48 might not work in places like Alaska. What works in interior Alaska might not work in villages along the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. So respecting those unique perspectives, I think, is part of what we're calling for. We all come as advocates. We've all been engaged in different ways of trying to help on these issues that are so hard. I've been trying to prioritize funding for our PL 280 states, funding for our tribal courts, what more we can do when it comes to the crisis of murdered missing Indigenous women. We were successful in advancing Savannah's Act, the Not Invisible Act. We've made good progress, I think, with legislation. I've had 2 opportunities now to host our United States Attorney General, one with the Trump administration, one with the Biden administration, to come to Alaska to see firsthand some of the challenges on the ground. I think it's made a noticeable, a perceptible difference. Last year, I think many of us were very focused in where we are with VAWA 22, the reauthorization, and now the implementation. As part of that, I was able to author, along with the extraordinary help of so many, including my great staff, but the Alaska Tribal Public Safety Empowerment Act. We're now working on implementation on that. I'd like to get good input, the feedback from so many about how they're able to build tribal justice capacity, and those that can focus on the technical assistance side of how we provide for that implementation. We've got so much to do, and I think here in this committee we've been able to shine a light on some of these areas that have been particularly troubling. Most recently, we had a hearing on, actually it was a series of hearings on fentanyl in our Native communities, the importance of law enforcement coordination across our federal, our state, and our tribal governments. It was particularly painful to be able to report some of what we're seeing in Alaska, where some of our smallest Native villages are being targeted by our drug dealers, by the traffickers, because they can make up to 10 times as much selling these lethal drugs into these small villages. So it's no accident that they get out to the most remote of communities, the smallest of communities, because they know that they can command more for the poison that they sell. And they're killing Native people, they're killing people throughout rural America, they're killing people within and part of Indian country, and it is devastating. So there's so much that needs to be shared. I'm glad that we're able to devote more than just the time that we have when we have a regular hearing where you have maybe 4 or 5 witnesses. They're able to share 3 to 5 minutes, and then we conclude the hearing because we have multiple votes. We're in the middle of multiple votes right now. But this roundtable, this listening session is really here to gain valuable input so that we can help build on these policies. So thank you to those who are providing testimony, and thank you to the respective staffs for the good work that I know we're all going to be doing together as we try to address the issues of public safety in Indian country and in our Alaska Native communities. So thank you for that, and I now...
Thank you.
Thank you.